All right, guys, it's another day. It's another project. We're going to be turning our attention to the garage doors now. We've done a lot of work on our porch. We've got new soffits and gutter reinstalled above. And before I get into my siding, I want to get this old garage door trim off. I'm going to put in my new trim. Make sure that I've got tamlin wrap around the sills of the garage door. And I'll put the new trim on and everything. And that'll be kind of the final prep step before I actually start re-siding this wall of the house. Excuse the giant bird turd on the wall. So what I'm going to be doing is taking off this material. What it's got is a tin wrapping around the outside of the frame. And that tin was put on when they did the vinyl siding as a way of kind of dressing it up. Underneath the tin is a brick mold type profiled trim. And that'll be made of redwood. And then I'll show you in a different shot kind of the different layers of it. But what we'll be doing is replacing that. I've got PVC material that I'm going to be putting on instead. The PVC is a little bit more robust against water, and so I don't have to worry so much about snow and such buildup or blowing rain against this front section of the house. Another step that I'll be doing is wherever that redwood siding is damaged or rotted out, like what you'd seen on the previous sections of the home rebuild, I'll be replacing that in this case with some pressure treated plywood, and that's just because I want something that's a little bit more impervious to the water. So we'll do that. We'll get some new tamlin wrap around here and get everything kind of prepped to do that siding. So here's just a quick close-up of what the siding construction looks like. You can see I've got my original 2x4 framing behind here. We've got that same MDF type material that we contended with the siding over there. This is 1/2 inch, and then we've got a 5/8. This is a redwood plywood type seating or siding. And that is actually cut out for the brick mold that you can see would have gone here going around my garage door. This is kind of the constructed appearance of it. So this is the brick mold material. This is the tin that's wrapping around it. And once I take this off, you'll be left with this. This then is a piece of what looks like just maybe pine. This is just a casement for the garage door. And so I'm going to be replacing this. I'm replacing the brick mold. I'm going to build this back so it's flush. And then I can put my new PVC trim over top of that. And so that's so that everything's built out to the same depth across the face of the house for when I go put my siding on there. Before I put the PVC siding or trim on here, this casement portion, I'm going to get some tamlin wrap on here. I'm actually going to cut out some of this material and put in some treated plywood so that where the water is likely to kind of build up on this lower edge, it's a little less of a concern. Well, a little summary of where we're at. The sun came out, started getting hot on my back, so we're back to the sombrero. What we had done below is we cut out the old redwood siding. It was getting kind of soft below. I had a 26-inch piece of the treated plywood, 5/8 inch thick, so I ended up just cutting my redwood at that same height and then putting in that new piece over top. I then built out the outsides of this. You'd see me put on a couple pieces. It's just a 5/8 OSB I had left over from the roof, but it's the same thickness as what the siding is that I'm replacing after taking out that brick mold section. So now I got my frame squared up. Everything's flush out to the right level. And then I put on this Tamlin wrap. When working by myself, I find it easier if I can kind of tack along the top, draw it tight down below, and then staple it in. It's a little wasteful for me to have gone all the way across the garage door opening like I did, but I'm preparing it kind of the same as I do with a house windows or doors. Basically leaving it long and then cutting out the inside, and then that excess on the inside I can wrap the inside of the door opening. And then you're just stapling it, and you can scribe down with your utility knife to take off the excess. Now that we've got the Tamlin wrap on, I'll be able to move on to my PVC trim portion. What I ended up getting is a 6-inch wide piece of the 3/4 inch PVC trim. That's going to be the inside, kind of the casement of the garage door. And because the rest of our trim is kind of a smooth cedar, I'm actually not going to have the textured surface of the PVC trim out. I'm going to leave the smooth side out. And I'm going to, kind of sand the corners to round everything out so that the trim looks the same. I decided to go PVC on these garage doors specifically, not on the rest of the house. One, PVC is more expensive, so I didn't want to have to do that for all my different windows and things. But because I know that these are going to get beat up with the kids' bikes, shovels and snow and stuff is going to be sitting against it, I thought the PVC might be a little bit more robust, and so these locations warranted it. So I'll have that 3/4 inch kind of casement piece coming in, and then to match the rest of my trim on the windows and the doors and things, I'm going to have a 3 or 3.5 inch full 1 inch thick, so it's a 1 1/4 at the store, but it's 1 inch thick trim. Going to make the trimming around the front of the garage door, and I think that'll kind of bring all the style in line with the rest of the windows and doors. So I'll get to work on that, and that should be one of the final steps before I get to the point of doing my siding. I still have to do some blockouts at my spigots and exterior power outlets. Those will be kind of minor things. So once I get this trim on, I'm going to be starting on the siding at this side, but that'll be for the next video. But anyways, this is kind of one of those last steps to prepare for that step. So I'm working down here. This is the northeast corner of the home. Last fall we had completed our siding on the north side, and so I've kind of wrapped some of the material from when I had done that project around the corner so that I can continue it on this side. As I get through doing some of my garage door trim out, one of the things I want to do is I want to put some of this trim coil material down as a little bit of a skirting close to the grade, so that when my lap siding starts, I don't have this kind of odd material looking down below. It'll be kind of a clean look. So what I'm doing is I've got it overlapping my previous run of material, like I mentioned, that had been there from fall. And just like what we had done over with the decking portion, I'm just stapling it in place, really. It's kind of more of an aesthetic thing than anything. And then what I'll do is I'll end up putting my starter strip for the siding on top of this. But I wanted to get it in place before I finish out the garage door trimming, because my garage door trim will sit right in front of this. So I wanted to get that in place. That kind of gives it a nice clean look as it's coming around this corner. I'll do that on the middle of the garage door. I won't do it on the side closer to the deck though. And that's just because I've already got something like that set up with the deck with that trim work that I had done a few videos back. So now that I've got this casement section done, I'm going in and doing the face trim. I'm doing this in kind of, I guess I don't know what style you'd call it. It's what I consider a little bit more of a craftsman style home. And what we've got is a 1/4 inch kind of reveal section between the casement and where the face trim actually starts. So the way that I do this, and I guess on this one, something to note is that I actually went and did it plumb on my casement. So I have a little bit of a gap here between my original framing and where my casement is. But I mark a 1/4 inch inset from the sides as well as the top. And it's pretty simple from there forward. I start with the sides. I'm cutting them. They're 3.5 inches by 1 inch thick. And I cut it based on this top length pulled down to the bottom. In this case, it was like 83.5 inches. I'm taking a little bit of time and just sanding over the edges, giving it a slight round over so it looks more wood-like rather than just a cut plastic. I do left and right side, and then once the sides are done, then I'm doing a 1 inch overhang on this top piece. And that's probably the easiest one to put in because you can actually just rest it on top of these side parts that are already put in place. All in all, I kind of like this look. We've done this on all of the other windows and things, and so now it's finally bringing these garage doors kind of into the same style as the rest of the home.